Hi, welcome to Salon Lisa. Today I have on my show a very special friend, coach, trainer, my muse. Her name is Karen Leba Baker. And I brought her on the show today because I really want other women to know what she does and how she does it, and how she gets people into action, like this video, for instance. But she'll probably say she had nothing to do with it. She inspires people to get out of their limited box, so to speak, and really seek out possibilities that are amazing. So first, I'm going to tell a little bit about how I met Karen. Then we're going to go into basically what she does. I'm going to let her speak and just tell what she has to tell. But first, let me explain. I met Karen, I don't know, about 10 years ago at a holistic bazaar in New York City. And I was kind of new to the whole holistic thing when I was promoting a friend for his book. And I'm just sitting there minding my own business when along comes Karen, and she's just stood there with this presence. And I was just like, kind of like mesmerized by her and drawn to her ripped jeans. I don't know what it was, but they were great jeans. She was holding a clipboard and she said, hi, she's very friendly. I'm like, hey. And she goes, would you like to be in a rock band camp? And I just looked at her like, what's that? So we started talking and one thing led to another. I somehow gave her my number and we've been in touch ever since, but down the rabbit hole I went. Mention that. So Karen has a way of making you think deeper and deeper and peeling away layers. And sometimes those questions that she asks would be uncomfortable, a little hard for you to answer. One time she asked me very seriously, she said, what do you want? And I couldn't answer. I was like, what do I want? I don't know what I want. It was really hard for me to, but as time went on, I was able to start answering. Anyway, one thing led to another. I have been to her retreats. I've been to her workshops for how to talk to men, which has helped me to open up to being more receptive and understanding and how to talk to men. I've been to Ibiza and I took a workshop there, 5 days. And Ibiza, who goes to Ibiza for a workshop? Right. And I also been to Austin, Texas. Y'all loved it there. So again, Karen is a coach trainer who's helped many women in business and personal relationships through intense but playful workshops. She's also an author of a book called 23 Innovations in Selling. And there's a couple of words that kind of describe Karen that for me, one is whimsical, and I don't know how she's going to take that, but whimsical and inspirational. And those are the two words. So I'm going to have Karen just speak a little bit about her journey, how she got to this point in her life. And you can start anywhere you want, Karen. So without any further ado, Karen Leba Baker.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's so great to see you, and you're really a natural on camera.
Thank you.
I guess there's so many places I could start, but I want to say that in the times we're living in, the name Karen is getting a bit of a bad rap. So Karen has come to be like an entitled, privileged woman my age, because it was a name of the era, a name of the 50s and 60s, who has no regard for anyone else. And I have been noticing for years that people around me change their names. They change their names to kind of reflect their personalities or what they're becoming or who they want to be. I have a lot of people that have done that. They've changed them to Sanskrit names or the name of the street corner where they had their spiritual awakening, or some of them changed their name to a Greek god or goddess that they admire. So when I was driving out west a couple months ago, driving to the Tetons in Wyoming, I just kept hearing the word majestic. And I've been introducing myself as majestic. And the first time that I did it in Starbucks, imagine how much fun it was for me to hear, "Majestic, your coffee's ready." So I went over and got my coffee. So I've been introducing myself that way, but everywhere that you'll find me, I'm still Karen Leba Baker. You know, what comes to me to say is that the one that we grew up as is not the one we actually are. Because we were carefully molded to make ourselves acceptable to the people that we lived with. You know, the right religion, the right manners, the right style of dress, the right voice tone, the right studies in college, the right guy. We almost didn't have a say in the matter unless we were rebelling against whatever they were telling us was the right thing to do. And the older I got, like you said, well, how did I get to where I got? A lot of rebelliousness. That was one thing through my teenage years. And just trying on all the different possibilities and then incorporating a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe like your grandma used to cook. She didn't follow a recipe. She just knew how to do it because she watched her mom do it. And that's sort of how I've become who I am and where I am. And so if I like a little glamour, you know, I throw in a ring. If I'm in the mood for something kind of tougher, I take a big backpack and I load it with books, put on my hiking boots, and I set a timer and hike for 5 hours. You know, I find out what is my system need right now. And then I go get it. And that has created my persona, this person that I am. And during COVID, I was living alone. And I realized that the persona I was outgrowing my persona, kind of like a snake might outgrow its skin. And I was really outgrowing the Lone Ranger, and I had to do something bigger. And so I took some steps, much like you're taking right now, to create your SalonLisa. It was just time to do something different that I had an appetite for. And that's where I am. My son just turned 18.
Wow.
That's a big milestone for any mom.
I remember when he was little too.
Me too. He hasn't been little for a while.
Yeah.
But I guess that's it. Like, I'm in Austin. I don't think it's my last stop. I like being here for a couple reasons. One of them is that my son is here. But the truth is, he doesn't exactly need me anymore.
Yeah.
Now he needs the connection, but there's nothing that I can do for him that he can't do for himself. He's an adult. So now I get to see what's my next adventure.
That's good. You're adventurous. And what made you, like when you started out a long time ago, like what kind of inspired you to become this coach, this trainer, to help women? Just, it seems so innate in you. It's like something that's just you, you know?
You know, it's who I've become. Remember when we did the How to Talk to Men and you did karaoke for the first time?
Yeah.
Do you remember you said, well, I can't do karaoke. I can't sing. And then you were great on stage. You like walked across the stage holding the microphone. You were a complete natural.
Yeah, in my head. Well, yeah.
You were a natural. And that's kind of how it turned out when people told me I was a coach. I didn't believe them because I didn't even know what a coach was. And I just thought, I sell newspaper advertising. I'm an advertising sales representative.
Is that what
I
you did?
did. That's what I did. Yeah.
In New York or where did you?
No, I did that in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And I got a completely new career after I did the Landmark Forum, which was my first introduction to transformation. I healed my relationship with my mom. I became friends with her. We became equals. I went on to get a job in sales. I became the #1 salesperson in the company. But that isn't really what was the most meaningful thing to me about working there. The most meaningful thing was after I'd been there for a couple of years, the owner, who was elderly at that time, met me at the top of the stairs, and he held out his arm in a most elegant fashion. And he asked me silently to take his arm, which I did. And he walked me through the cubicles in the office. And the first lady, Lynn, had pictures all over her cubicle of her dogs and cats and horses that she'd rescued. And Mr. Samuels said to me, Karen, because of the work that you do here, Lynn can foster her animals. And then we went to the next cubicle where the production manager was laying out the newspaper. And he said, Rory has 2 kids in college and you help her send them there. He walked me through the office cubicle by cubicle, and he pointed out how those people's lives were better because of the work that I was doing, which literally I just thought I was having fun. I thought it was probably the easiest way in the world that I could ever make a living, is talking to people, presenting value to them, and they handed me a check. I'm like, it's like falling off a log. But then he walked me through and he showed me how I was making a contribution to those people's lives. And that changed my life. It really didn't occur to me that what I was doing made such a big difference to people. That's one of the reasons I know that my game is too small during COVID, is that I was sitting in my house having a maximum of 10 conversations a day. And he'd already showed me that I was making an impact on the world, on the education of children, on the rehabilitation of animals. You know, when you see that, you can't quite go back to your tiny snake skin that you were slithering into.
No, and it was great that somebody actually showed you what you've done. I mean, imagine if we all had that, how good we'd feel, like, you know, in these jobs that like nobody, you know, they're like what's the word, not unrewarding, kind of, what, you know, you don't
Yeah, we
know
think we're doing a job because we don't see the big picture of what it is we're actually doing.
Yeah,
And
as
the impact we're actually having.
the impact. Yes. Yes.
That's something that people don't see, that the work that I teach and how to talk to men, which you were first introduced to, it shows women the impact that we're having. We think we're just being ourselves. And of course, being ourselves is all right, but we don't see what's happening out there when we communicate with another. And that's why we don't see how it was that we missed the sale, or how it was we were passed by again for promotion. Or, you know, why can't I get a guy to stick around? It's because we don't see the impact of our actions.
Yes. And I always,
in other words, no one was honest with us. And a lot of people don't have the language to be honest is the truth. But that's what my mentors taught me, is how to tell the truth in a way that is kind of kind. It's not like hammering anyone over the head with the truth. It's just offering up a mirror. So if they want to take a look, they can.
yeah, I could see that very, very clearly now. Yep. And breaking patterns. That's what came into my head, you know, just finding a truth, breaking those patterns down by the layers. I still feel like there's somehow, whatever way you do it, through the what you just said, you know, the being kind and speaking the truth about it, or showing the mirror, is so important, because people don't always see what's happening, and you just, oh, it's awakening. It's an awakening moment.
Yeah, I've had many of those, and COVID has really provided a lot of opportunity for self-reflection.
I think so. Yes. Yes. It had me thinking too. I worked from home the whole year. Uh, it was not fun, but I mean, it had its perks, but it wasn't fun. I like to be out.
You're a social person.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, look what the impact of it is that something you told me yourself you wanted to do for years is a talk show. Now you have SalonLisa that you're launching. And that could have happened from all that compression time. And, a caterpillar goes into the cocoon as one thing. And we've been in a sort of a compression machine, a cocoon, an isolation. And now we're emerging with our gifts
Yeah.
and to express ourselves. So that is definitely a silver lining of all of that.
I see that.
And you're crazy, Lisa. You're funny.
I'm crazy.
You come up with such outrageous ideas. I'm so glad you're launching them. I mean, you're a free spirit.
I am. I think, I just really wanted to do this. Like the other day when I texted you, oh my God, why don't we just do like this video and I could promote what you do and get women to really see and hear how inspiring you can be. And like, I got off whatever, I think we were just texting that day, but I was like, all of a sudden my creativity just started. What did I say? It was an orgasm, a creative. Like, oh my God, it just orgasmed in my brain.
I'm in favor of
that. So maybe you can just mention like some sort of strategies you might use to help people, to help women mostly, right? You work with women to see their truth, and maybe what are some strategies you might use?
Oh, that's such a left-brained question. Let me see. So strategies, I guess honesty is one. Storytelling is another. Typically, when someone goes into the cadence of a story, our vigilance system or our fight or flight response relaxes out of years of conditioning that story time is safe.
Mm.
And we're going to take you on a little journey and you're safe with us. And our limbic system goes into a state of relaxation when we hear those words, once upon a time. And I definitely use laughter. Sometimes I use self-effacing humor. I often say I'm the perfect bad example. Don't do what I did. Take my input. Now, most people don't, or they do after a time. But I, let them know that I've made all the mistakes. And that's why I'm a role model now, because I've done everything that you're not supposed to do. I've gotten married, I've this, that, and the other. I've moved 100 times instead of settling down like a normal sane person and creating something that lasts. So I tell the truth also about myself. I share a lot of stories about other women, their successes, but also their faux pas that cost them their careers. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I burst into song.
Musical. We should have made this
Sometimes
musical.
I just entertain them. Like, it's not going anywhere. There's no strategy to it. It's more like, what will help that person over there relax so that, like you said, their minds and their hearts will open to me, will get connected.
Yeah.
There'll be a bond between us, or camaraderie between us, or even love between us, where they're willing to entertain an idea that has been a big fat no before that. And do I use this with my son? You bet your sweet bottom I do. I inspire him all I can. I use metaphors about being in the mountains. I use metaphors about plants growing, about cooking, whatever he's interested in. I weave that into my story. You've heard of rapport,
What is it?
getting into rapport with someone.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's one of the tools if I had to break it down. So like I do it really naturally. Like I saw this morning when I tuned in to talk to you that you're outside. So right away I went outside and I set up the stage so that I'm outside, right? It's so natural that I go into rapport with people, and whatever I see is valuable to them, I reflect that back. It's just super natural at this point. And in a way you could say I disappear. Now that causes problems in other areas of my life, because like sometimes people ask me, what do you want? And I'm like, deer in the headlights. But by now I have a list of things. I mean, when I don't know, earrings will always do. Travel will usually work. An adventure will usually work. So there's some go-tos that I know will reliably light me up when people ask me, what do you want? But I've asked thousands of people that question. And now look at you.
I think this is why we connect, because I love traveling. I love adventure, just bring it on whenever, a spontaneous, type of thing. Yeah.
Well, there's also a spirit. Like I like to say to people that when they do the things they love to do and their real nature starts to bubble out from them, then the right people start paying attention. And by the right people, I don't mean Mr. Right or Mr. Right now. I mean, the people that are attracted to your true self,
Yes.
that self-expression that comes from your heart, from your playfulness. Then the right people show up, and then that's your tribe. And then they help you do the things that you want to do. Just like I'm helping you right now, but you're helping me. We're collaborating.
That's right.
And people are going to see this and they're going to be like, those two women, there's something about them. How do I get in with them? Like, how do I get, who knows what'll come from this? We can't know, but we can continue to build on the things that light us both up.
Yeah. Oh, this is
And,
lighting me up. Like, forget about it right now.
and you look amazing on camera. I mean, so amazing.
Thank you. I
I
try.
almost want you to model your dress, y'all. She modeled her dress for me this morning. It's really fun right now.
Tommy Bahama dress.
Paid political ad.
So yeah, so I mean, I know, your workshops are great. I've been to, I think, 2 How to Talk to Men workshops with you. One I got to go to Austin, Texas for, and that was fun because you know how I have to work. Oh my God, I can't take off for work. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose that. So afraid, right? Like, I'm going. Right? I was determined. My now husband was like, just do it. He's so supportive. I went by myself. I met amazing women at that retreat. Everybody there was amazing. And I you kind of lose touch over the time because everyone gets busy with their lives, but I try to keep up with them. I made friends with them on Facebook, whatever. And I just feel it was like a tribe because we're all like-minded. We're all there for whatever reasons, and everybody had different reasons for being there. They wanted to improve something there, within themselves. And that's what it is. It's all about what's within yourself to bring it out. And I think that's what the coaching does, as coaches, that's basically all we have to do.
Yeah, I was so surprised in my first coaching session where Lorraine, a dear friend of mine, asked me, what do you want? And I'm telling you, I pulled out the stops. I came out with some outlandish ideas, as you well know I can. I think one of them was floating in a canoe, wearing a costume, floating down the bayou in Houston. And she said to me, well, that doesn't light you up. And I was like, well, damn, that's the best I got. If that doesn't light me up, I don't know what the hell. Because I was creating all these ideas from my head that would be things that would be outrageous instead of just being outrageous. Like you can be outrageous without a word. You don't have to make up anything. You can like walk out on the street. Like you said, your first impression of me at the health fair, I wasn't like trying to be outrageous. I was pretty much being myself, but I made an impression. So all of our thoughts and our concepts about how we should be, all they are is thoughts and concepts. Like you can take those out for the trash. They're a dime a dozen, but there's some essence in you that when you can accidentally tap into it or someone pushes you enough, and then you let go of how you're supposed to be, you know, the nice girl from Houston or the good girl from Long Island, then you tap into it for a minute. And you get a feeling for what it actually is like when the energy's moving instead of just giving your ideas about how things are.
Yeah.
And that actually is something that can be learned. I remember, so I've collaborated with a lot of different people because I learn every time I collaborate. And do you know Mark Brown out in California?
I don't know.
Not sure if you've met him yet. His wife is Mary Lynn. They've been to Ibiza as well. Mark he's the founder of the Connections Meetup. So people meet and they get this container of 4 rules. And inside of the 4 rules, which creates safety, they get to actually share intimacy with each other. It's men and women. So he asked me to be a host of his Houston Connections Meetup. So we had a live meeting at a La Madeleine restaurant. And beforehand, he's telling me how I need to behave in this meetup. How do I need to be? And I'm like, well, I know how to be. I'm a coach. I know how to be. He goes, well, you can't be that way. And I said, well, that's the way I always am. He said, yeah, but in the Connections Meetup, you actually have to be vulnerable. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And he goes, well, it starts in 15 minutes and you are going to do that. And I was like, well, I don't like to be vulnerable. I like to be in charge. And he said, well, you can be in charge when you're in your own workshops, but this is a collaboration with me. And I'm telling you what works in this space is to be vulnerable. So I start crying. I'm on the phone with them. I'm like, I can't be vulnerable. Like I can't stand in front of a room and be vulnerable. Anyway, he talked me into it. I wasn't for his idea, but I took the coaching. And I stood up in front of the room and I was vulnerable. I have no idea what the topic of conversation was, but I shared what was actually going on in my life. And there was so much connection in that room, so much sweetness. All the women, actually a man showed up and he left. He didn't like the environment. But the women that were there was such an amazing connection. Just like women sharing their dreams, their sorrows, the things that they're disappointed about, the challenges that they're having. And we didn't try to get anywhere. We actually related to each other. We listened to each other. We shared our hearts. That's one of the things that led me to what I'm doing right now. Can I talk a little about the Embrace Retreat?
Yes, I was going to ask you, please do.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, what I saw is that during COVID, we needed a different medium for teaching the tools of how to talk to men. So I designed this online retreat called Embrace. And I like to joke, Embrace stands for something. It's an acronym that stands for something, which I don't want to go into right now, but I want to turn you in the Embrace Retreat into a hug, you know, an embrace and a hug. And what's a hug? It's a human understanding guys. Because as women, we don't really understand men that well. We see the way they are, but then we blame them for it instead of understanding that that's the way they are. Just like they love us for who we are, we can learn to understand and love them for who they are. And oh my God, has this ever worked with my son, right? It's just allowed me to love him. Well, in the process of teaching this over years and years, I got brave enough to be honest with my dad. I called him a couple days ago and I said, Dad, would you think less of me if I told you that I had performed a burlesque routine? And I just sat there quietly to hear what he had to say. That was pretty vulnerable of me to tell my dad, yeah, your daughter takes her clothes off in front of people. I didn't paint quite such a graphic picture. Well, he said, no, not at all. And then he said, well, I think he said, what did you get down to? I mean, my dad likes pretty ladies, even if they're his daughter. He's like, what did you get down to? And I said, well, I was wearing pasties and fishnet stockings and shorts. And he said, Karen, no, I wouldn't think less of you. I think if that's your self-expression and that makes you happy, you should go ahead and do that. Then he said something to me I never expected. He said, I think it's funny that you bring this up. Did you know that your aunt used to do striptease? And I said, no. And he said, yeah, she, after World War II, she used to perform striptease. So I got a nugget of family history out of him that I never would have known. It would have probably never occurred to him to tell me for any reason. And then I asked him, well, what would mom have thought? Because mom was a little bit more tight-laced than dad. He said, well, she would have been very practical and she would have asked you, is that the kind of reputation you want to set for yourself? And are those the kind of people that are going to be good for you to be around? And why I'm sharing this story is because I realized in the conversation that I don't have to wait for anyone to bring intimacy to me. A lot of times in my life, I felt starved for intimacy. Like no one really sees me. No one really hears me. I'm always listening as a coach to other people and to their heart's desires. But what I finally got, and one of the things that I teach in the Embrace Retreat, is how to create intimacy. No one needs to live a day without that vital nutrient of really connecting with another person. But we actually have to have the courage to be the change and not expect other people to know what we like to eat. We have to actually let them know and see who wants to partake with us.
Comes down to speaking your truth of who you really are, and then attracting those people that are drawn to who you really are into your life.
And letting them see who we really are.
That's the vulnerability. I have trouble with that word.
The V word.
Have you heard of
other V word?
Yeah. Have you heard of Brene Brown? So
yes, she's from Houston, like I am, or at least she lives in Houston.
I have a book by her. She does write a book. She talks a lot about the V word, vulnerability in there. And it was a very good book. So I enjoyed that. So yeah, but I know that through the workshops I've taken, either with you or what you led me to take, like the whole realization one, which was really, that to me was outrageous for me to even do. But even though it was on Skype or whatever the platform was at the time, I met all these people from around the world and just listening. And there were times I would get like angry through it, like all these emotions would come up and out. But by the end of that, and you mentioned caterpillar and cocoon and emerging as a butterfly. I mean, during that time, that's what was happening to me, so, and I'm so grateful that we've met, because I don't think I would ever have experienced that, if I didn't meet you back at the Holistic Bazaar.
I'm grateful too. I'm grateful. I'm a catalyst.
Yes.
My 8th grade teacher kicked me out into the hall. She said, Baker, go stand in the hall. You're nothing but a catalyst. So I'm out in the hall thinking, catalyst, that sounds like a compliment to me. Why am I standing out in the hall? And the thing is, what I've noticed over the years is the very thing that those well-meaning adults tried to suppress in us, that's our gift. So often that's the essential one that we are. but we've been taught that's bad, that's wrong, stuff that under the pillow, you know? So finally, I give people a chance to be themselves. I asked my mentor once, what exactly is it that we do? And he said, we give permission. We really give people permission to live the life they want to live, to approve of themselves, to have as much fun as they want, to go for it. And you never know where it's going to lead you. But what I've discovered in the last weeks is that where it's leading me is to the thing that I'm most afraid of about myself. Several aspects of the thing I'm most afraid of. We can take that offline.
Okay, no problem. But I love that fan. There's something about the fan.
Don't we all want raving fans?
I love those fans. It's like, oh, I should have brought mine out. I have one too, you know.
Next show.
The next show, we will do that.
We can start the fan club.
The fan club. That's awesome.
You know me, my mind thinks in marketing slogans. That's what my mind is good for. Now my body's good for other things. My mind is good for marketing tags.
I need those marketing things because
I'm happy to toss them out. Any conversation.
Well, this is awesome. So, you know, just to wrap it up, I mean, I just wanted people to know who you are, what you do, how you do it. Any last wisdom, words of wisdom you want to share before we?
I always like that quote, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
Yeah, that's great.
And it actually wasn't easy getting here because I grew up in kind of a controlled environment. Like sometimes I think it'd be better if we were raised by wolves because we could just become ourselves sooner.
That's a good line right there. I like
there's something called the Holstee Manifesto, and it's just a great. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Well, my cousin Julie Geller, she's out of Denver. She created a musical score for the lyrics, and it's like do what you love and do it often. Getting lost will help you find yourself. If you're looking for the love of your life, they'll show up when you start doing the things you love. If you don't have enough time, stop watching TV. Just a lot of pieces of wisdom. You can look her up on YouTube. Her name is Julie Geller, and she sings the Holstee Manifesto.
Love it.
And the older I get, the more I see that there's really no right way to be. A lot of people along the way have showed me that. I just steadfastly refused to listen because I knew there was a right way to be. And I wasn't having any fun with it. What about you? Do you have any last words of wisdom?
Open your heart and your mind, and the possibilities are endless. I really find that to be true. I'm still working on it, you know, I have some ways to go. So many things still going on in my head that I wanted to say, but another time.
Well, that's why you do the next show.
Yeah, stay tuned. SalonLisa.
SalonLisa.
I can't wait. Now I'm like thinking, who else can I interview? But this is great. I really thank you so much for taking the time out on a Saturday morning to do this with me. And, you know, I hope that something comes from it. I hope that we can get some more women to realize that they have so much more potential, so much more to give, so much more.
Oh my gosh.
No, and that's what I see when I think of you. That's what I see. You're just empowering women worldwide, you know. And I know
that's what I love to do. So I also wanted to show our book because I realized I didn't show the graphic of it. You can find it on Amazon. 23 Innovations in Selling Mia Sage is listed as the author. And then I also wanted to mention that I looked for what was missing in life for me. Like if I could look for something that I needed more nurturing, like a more feminine environment that was like a soft cushion where I could lay down and relax, laugh. I think of kind of like the red tent kind of model. And so I made up a word and I created a space that's an online space right now. It's called the Nurturary. And in the Nurturary, what we do is we nurture each other and we create a nurturing environment where women can say the things they've never allowed themselves to say, discover the places in themselves that they haven't discovered, or do things that they have been wanting to do but haven't had any cheerleading squad behind them saying, yeah, do it. So we have a 75-year-old woman who wants to do a naked photo shoot off the back of a train. She's traveling Europe right now with some girlfriends. We have all sorts of women doing all sorts of things that feed their souls and feed their spirits. And the real motivation there is for you to find what makes your life worth living and to do it one thing at a time, not what has you just get through the day, like another day, another dollar, but what are the real peak experiences that you keep thinking about, but that you keep not doing. And we really create the love and the nurturing that, yeah, you do that. Like have it happen, buy the land, take the week to yourself at an Airbnb. Because when women don't get what we want, we invariably take it out on the men around us and we blame them. The truth is, it's not their fault. If they knew what we wanted, they'd help us get it.
Right.
But it's really an inside job for us to discover what we want, to act on our own behalf, to enlist the people that want to help us. You know, we're not kids anymore. Now it's really up to us. We have that self-authority. So the Nurturary is a place it's a 12-month program to discover yourself and discover what makes your life worth living. And then find yourself suddenly engaged in it, wearing the clothes you really want to wear.
That's amazing.
Traveling to where you really want to go, saying the things that are really on your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Thanks for letting me share about that.
Oh yeah, that was definitely, that had to be shared because that's, again, I think women need that safe space where they can really self-express, just be who they really are meant to be.
That's right. That's one of my highest values, self-expression. Do you share that?
I do.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what I always work on. Oh, I don't express myself enough. I never expressed myself. And now I'm like, I got to leave all that behind. Started just do it. I'm tired of you complaining in there.
It's a lot more fun.
Yeah. That's what, life has to be about fun. That's it. Fun, playful, just make it. And you're in control. We're in control of our lives and we don't always see it that way, So
the parts we can control are so yummy. And the parts we can't control, well, at least we know we can't control them. We can put our attention elsewhere.
Yeah. Don't put the energy on that anymore. Just put it on what you can control, what the yummy parts, like you said. I'm thinking of a donut right now with the cream filling. I don't know why.
You have to plant that in my mind. Because I haven't even eaten breakfast yet.
Oh no, I got to go let you eat breakfast. Okay, so hey, you know what? Again, thank you. I created a slide. I'm going to see if I could share my screen.
Okay, let's see it.
For contact information.
Thank you for doing that, Lisa.
See if I could do that.
You have a real show here.
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, you see that? That's not what I wanted to show.
Wow.
Here we go. Let's put this into present mode, which is, I don't
That's
know.
beautiful. And Lisa, how do they contact you? I guess through,
Well, I can add my contact information as
I
well.
think that's a good idea. Somebody
Yeah.
might want to suggest a friend to be on your show. They might raise their hand that they want to be on your show.
I have to do it this way. I'll give my Gmail.
I love this. This is a live show. Hey, we're adding the email address as we speak.
Actually, I'm going to add my other one.
Yeah, coaching by Lisa. Good. Watch, y'all were watching transformation before our very eyeballs right this
Yeah.
second.
So this is how we can both be contacted. We didn't really go into salon, what that means, but SalonLisa is my new show. And yeah, how do I stop sharing? I'm going to stop sharing, but that's good, right? We got it. Let me stop sharing. And yeah.
Lisa, I acknowledge you for launching your first show, conceiving it, naming it, producing it. Now you're going to edit it, then you're going to post it. This
And
is a real milestone.
I know, it really is.
Thank you for inviting me to be a part of it.
And thank
It's
you.
one of the things I love the most about what I do is that I get to participate in people's lives, in their victories, in their challenges. I'm intimately connected with people. That means a lot to me. That's another one of my values is intimacy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Way to go, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for joining us, and I'll see you next time.